Hey, history lovers. I'm standing at what looks like an ordinary stone house, but this modest building changed the course of American history. Right here, General Robert E. Lee made the fateful decision to launch Pickett's charge during the Battle of Gettysburg. But there's an incredible twist to the story. This historic site was completely lost to hotel development. Join me as we explore this remarkable preservation success story using only what we can see today. Welcome to the Mary Thompson House. Now known as Lee's headquarters, located at 401 Beaufort Avenue in Gettysburg. If you are enjoying this historical journey, make sure to hit the subscribe button and that notification bell for more hidden stories from America's past. Unfortunately, we won't be able to go inside the house today as it's not open for public entry. But we can still appreciate this beautifully restored property from the exterior and surrounding grounds. As we approach the house, notice these impressive limestone walls. Approximately 18 inches thick. This Pennsylvania German style construction dates to around 1826. Built to last through centuries of harsh winters and hot summers. I mean, it's still here in 2025, which is 199 years later. So it has lasted through all that time. So you have to appreciate the integrity of this building. Through this doorway entered Mary Thompson, and she purchased the property in 1846. And later Confederate General Robert E. Lee, as he established his command center during the Battle of Gettysburg. While we can't enter today, we can imagine the critical meetings that took place just beyond these walls. Standing here, you can immediately understand why Lee chose this location. The elevated position on Seminary Ridge offers excellent visibility. Let's walk around and to see what Lee could have seen. From this vantage point, Lee could observe much of the Union position on Cemetery Ridge. That distant ridge line you see where Union forces were entrenched during the battle. This road, now bustling with modern traffic, was the Chambersburg Pike in 1863, a crucial transportation route that connected Gettysburg and Chambersburg beyond those mountains to points west, which is points west, including Chambersburg, and all the other places beyond those mountains, and places east, which would include Hanover, York, Lancaster, places but beyond the town that way. Its strategic importance was one reason Lee established headquarters here. The American Battlefield Trust has meticulously recreated the 1863 landscape. These fences, vegetation patterns, and terrain features match what would have existed during the battle based on archaeological evidence and historical documentation. Through these windows, we can envision the modest parlor where Lee met his generals, including James Longstreet, who strongly objected to the plan for what would become Pickett's charge. Though we can't step inside today, historical accounts tell us the interior featured simple, functional furnishings, typical of a mid-19th century home. These architectural elements have witnessed history. The restoration team preserved as much of the original structure as possible, while removing later additions that didn't match the 1863 appearance. And there's plenty of signs along this path that we should check out. And this first one, General Lee's headquarters, hospital, hallowed ground. On the morning of July 1st, 1863, General Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia forced elements of the Army of the Potomac back to this ridge, where heavy fighting ensued. After driving Union troops through Gettysburg, Lee established his headquarters here at the Mary Thompson House. Late that afternoon, for the next 3 days, this area was a flurry of activity. Couriers came and went, delivering news and orders. Medical staff and civilians tended to wounded soldiers in Mary Thompson's House, and cannoneers established an artillery line just behind you. Most importantly, Lee met with his subordinates to discuss and plan the costliest and most famous battle of the Civil War. After a long wait, I left orders for the troops to follow the trains of the Second Corps and rode to find General Lee. His headquarters were on Seminary Ridge. General James Longstreet, Confederate States of America. Their image of Confederate prisoners, one of the most famous of Civil War, was taken across the Chambersburg Pike to your left. In the Seminary Ridge, a Lutheran seminary property. The Mary Thompson House as it appeared shortly after the battle, and as it appears today. General Lee's headquarters, life on Seminary Ridge. Three more acres, or less, on which are erected a 1.5-story stone dwelling. House and frame stable. Directed and sold and struck off the same unto Thaddeus Stevens, trustee of Mary Thompson, of the sum of $16, dated January 28th, 1846. Sheriff's docket for the sale of this property. At At an 1846 sheriff's sale, radical Republican Congressman Thaddeus Stevens purchased this property in trust for Mary Thompson, pictured here. The two co-owned the property at the time of the battle, courtesy Gettysburg National Military Park. Michael Clarkson built the stone house during the 1830s. Most likely, he took the stone from the railroad cut just steps to your right in this area. Courtesy Library of Congress. People had been living peacefully in and around Gettysburg for more than 75 years before the Civil War brought two mighty armies to the town, forever changed its character and landscape. Mary Thompson, a widow since the 1840s, lived in the stone house in front of you for 17 years before the Battle of Gettysburg. Miss Thompson raised her children here, tended a small garden, and was comforted by a dog with its own little house. By the summer of 1863, the widow's children had grown and moved out. One lived directly across the street. And Miss Thompson lived alone in the stone house. Her closest neighbor was Caspar Henry Dustman, whose home stood just east of the Thompson House. Located on the Chambersburg Pike on top of Seminary Ridge, her home was all but bound to become a significant battlefield feature. Union cannons dealt death and destruction from her yard, and Union soldiers formed a line of battle on her property's edge. After a fierce fight, Confederate soldiers, cannons, and even the Army's commander, General Robert E. Lee, occupied her property. Soldiers were buried here. You are standing on historic and hallowed ground. The American Battlefield Trust, actually, this 2014 photo shows the cottage built on the Dustman Barn Foundation Center, with a Quality Inn motel complex surrounding it. And that's the Dustman Barn Foundation, where the cottage was built on. And courtesy American Battlefield Trust. This photo details shows the Chambersburg Pike, modern day Route 30, and part of Mary Thompson's neighborhood. Just 1 week after the battle, you are now standing behind the structures at center, which belonged to Mary Thompson's neighbors, courtesy Gettysburg National Military Park. Behind the trees are the James Thompson House and the Riggs House, and then behind those trees, Mary Thompson House, which is this house right here, and then the Dustman House and the Sheets House, and we are right here at the Dustman Barn. Well, the railroad cut is right here. So, the foundation in front of you is all that remains of Caspar Henry Dustman's antebellum barn. A building that stood here during the Battle of Gettysburg. Typical of barns in this area, the wood frame section was larger than the foundation, which housed stables. The barn was later demolished, and subsequent owner built modern cottage on the foundation. The American Battlefield Trust removed this non-historic building in 2016 and it stabilized the historic foundation. The Thompson House, shown in 2014 as part of a motel complex, and after renovation in 2016. This aerial photo shows the motel complex long before restoration, courtesy Adams County Historical Society, and a before and after, courtesy American Battlefield Trust. We are right here, right next to the Thompson House. And the before and after pictures were taken right over here, in that area. Lee's headquarters offers a valuable glimpse into the past that visitors can enjoy for years to come. David Duncan, President, American Battlefield Trust. Saving and restoring this critical landmark has imprinted a lasting legacy upon the Gettysburg landscape. Jim Lightsair, President Emeritus, American Battlefield Trust. In the decades after the battle, the Thompson House became a popular attraction among visitors interested in Confederate General Robert E. Lee. In 1913, the Chambersburg Pike became part of the famed Lincoln Highway, which significantly increased automobile traffic and tourism to Gettysburg. A museum and gift shop were opened in a stone house with an adjacent campground on the property, followed by a boarding house and tourist cabins. By 1967, a large motel complex and restaurant surrounded the Thompson House. In 2014, the American Battlefield Trust announced plans to purchase the entire complex and restore the site to its Civil War appearance. Restoration work began early in 2016, with archaeological surveys followed by removal of the restaurant, swimming pool, and non-essential parking lots. And the motel complex, the trust meticulously restored the 1863 landscape and Thompson House exterior. A non-historic structure atop the original dustman barn foundation was removed. In the fall of 2016, the historic fences and the trail on which we stand were completed, all thanks to the generosity of the members of and supporters of the American Battlefield Trust. And it's a beautiful sunset, wouldn't you say? Still have a decent bit to go through, and I want to get to the railroad cut and the rail yard over there, but we still have a decent bit to go for now. Hopefully we can get it all before sunset. As this mid-July 1863 Matthew Brady panorama illustrates, the view from Seminary Ridge was unobstructed. The naked eye could easily discern the open fields over which the 11th Corps retreated left, and the town of Gettysburg center, and the main Union position on Cemetery Hill right. There was no use in fighting any longer. The enemy had deployed and we were trapped. The town was before us, the enemy on either side and behind us. Colonel John Mercer, 143rd Pennsylvania Infantry. Each hash mark on this 1864 map of the battlefield denotes a grave, straight lines for Confederate and plus signs for Union. The Thompson House, marked as Lee's headquarters, is at dead center. Note the single Union and Confederate burials north of the house. When Union position fell, the Confederates were executing a giant pincer movement in the distance, distant ground to your left, front and along Chambersburg Pike, to your left, front and along the Chambersburg Pike to your right front. Federal soldiers had to run the gauntlet to escape capture. Many failed in the attempt. On the afternoon of July 1st, 1863, Confederate soldiers broke through this position en route to Gettysburg. Dead and wounded soldiers littered the ground in their wake. While banner smoke hung in the air, soon Southern cannons were unlimbered on the spot while General Robert E. Lee's couriers dashed back and forth for the next 3 days. Thompson's property hosted a bustle of activity until the Confederate withdrawal after nightfall on July 4th. Some 10 days later, Matthew Brady's cameraman recorded no fewer than 7 photographs, here including this panorama of Gettysburg. This photo, made from 2 glass plate images, was recorded from the Thompson House, just steps from where you stand. This house was within the rebel lines, occupying an elevated position from which the Federal lines could be seen with a field glass, and being at a safe distance from our guns. It was selected by General Lee and his staff as his headquarters. Here he lodged all night and took his meals. Professor Michael Jacobs, Pennsylvania College, 1864. In the summer of 1863, General Robert E. Lee was at the peak of his career, having amassed an impressive series of victories since taking command of the Army of Northern Virginia 13 months earlier. Courtesy Library of Congress. Gettysburg's early maps, including this 1863 map by Gettysburg historian John Batchelder, place Lee's headquarters at the Thompson House. This map has the Confederate flag right next to the house. Courtesy Library of Congress. By 1921, Gettysburg National Military Park had erected the headquarters marker across the street on the closest land it owned to the Mary Thompson House, and you can see the marker right there. Confederate General Robert E. Lee arrived here on the afternoon of July 1st, 1863, just in time to see Confederate forces drive the Union Army from the fields west of town. Because this site was located on the high ground, near the edge of the new Confederate line, Lee's staff selected it for Army headquarters. Lee's headquarters tent and many tents of his staff were soon spread out in the fields around the house. Here, Lee made decisions that led to the Confederate assaults for the next 2 days, and ultimately his retreat on the evening of July 4th. Fighting his largest battle, Lee was a busy man at Gettysburg. He spent a significant amount of time on horseback, riding around the battlefield. He performed certain headquarters functions in the Thompson House, but he most likely slept and performed other tasks in his tent. While the best primary evidence Lee's headquarters complex at or around the Thompson House, no verifiable account specifies the location of his headquarters tent. These interpretive signs help us understand what the interior spaces looked like during the battle, with detailed floor plans and well, we can't say that because I don't think any of these. So disregard that. Anyways. Let's explore the grounds surrounding the house during the battle. This area would have been filled with staff officers, couriers, horses, and constant activity as reports came in from different sectors of the battlefield. This raised area represents the former Western Maryland Railroad grade. During the battle, it provided natural cover for Confederate staff and horses. Later, it became part of Gettysburg's transportation infrastructure, connecting the town to regional markets. On every side, the passion, rage, and frenzy of fearless men or reckless boys devoted to slaughter or doomed to death. The same sun not a day before had been shining to cure the rich sheaves of the harvest of peace, now glared to pierce the gray pall of battle's powder, smoke, or to bloat the corpses of boundless victims. Augustus Beale, the Cannoneer, 1890. This 1890 sketch shows the men of Stuart's battery firing across the Chambersburg Pike at Skillings, North Carolinians. The Thompson House is depicted to the left. Illustration from Augustus Beale's The Cannoneer, 1890. The Union's position on Seminary Ridge became untenable once Confederate Colonel Abner Pierce's South Carolinians gained the flank and rear of the Federal position. During the heavy fighting late in the afternoon of July 1st, 1863, Seminary Ridge became the final defensive position of the Union First Army Corps west of Gettysburg. 21 cannons and thousands of battle-weary men crowned the heights with the aim of repelling Confederate forces ascending the ridge. The Union line was buckling to the left and right, but the position near the Thompson House was holding. The 143rd Pennsylvania Infantry was posted here, along with 3 guns of Lieutenant James Stewart's Battery B, 4th United States Artillery, blasting deadly volleys of iron into General Alfred Scales, North Carolina soldiers across the Chambersburg Pike. The Confederates pressed onward, however, unhinging the entire Union line. The position here around the Thompson House was the very last to fall. Union soldiers sought refuge in the railroad cut to your right and rear. Once the fighting ended, dead and wounded soldiers were scattered around here. The widow Thompson and her neighbors cared for the wounded men of both sides, while the dead of both armies were buried near places where they fell. What makes this site truly remarkable is its preservation story. Until 2015, this historic house was surrounded by a Quality Inn motel. Imagine modern hotel rooms, a swimming pool, and parking lots surrounding these headquarters. The American Battlefield Trust purchased the property for $5.5 million in 2015 and embarked on an ambitious restoration. They demolished the modern hotel, removed the parking lots, and conducted archaeological investigations to guide accurate restoration. The meticulous work included not just preserving the stone house, but reconstructing the entire landscape to its 1863 appearance. The restoration team used archaeological findings written accounts, and period documents to recreate what you see today. Today's visitors can experience the site much as it appeared during those crucial days in July 1863. The walking paths follow historic routes, allowing you to trace the steps of Lee and his staff outside the headquarters. Even without interior access, visitors can gain a deep appreciation for this historic site. The Trust has done an excellent job with exterior interpretation that helps us visualize what happened inside these walls, while respecting the preservation needs of the structure. The Mary Thompson House embodies the evolution of historic preservation in America, from nearly being lost to commercial development to its meticulous restoration. This site demonstrates how we can recover our historical landscapes when we commit to authentic preservation. While it's disappointing we can't enter the house today, the powerful story of this place transcends its walls. Sometimes preservation means limiting access to ensure that these treasures remain for future generations. If you enjoyed this exploration of these headquarters as it exists today, have you hit the like button and share this video with your history-loving friends. Have you visited other restored Civil War sites? Tell me about your experience in comments below. For those interested in visiting, I put the address and visitor information in the description. If you want to support historic preservation efforts, consider donating to organizations like the American Battlefield Trust. Don't forget to subscribe for more historical adventures. Until next time, keep exploring, preserving, and learning from the past to make a better future, to work in the now to make a better future. Thank you for being amazing, and see you next time.